All right, this is your video lesson that you should be watching Thursday night before class on Friday and taking notes. We gave you a note sheet if you were in person this week that you can use on the video. If you weren't in person, the note sheet is on Schoology, and you can use that to follow along and take notes for the video because we will start class tomorrow with a video quiz that you can use your notes on. So let's get started. We're talking about converting to slope-intercept form. So if you remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So m times x plus b. And this is a common form that we'll see for equations. However, we can also see this other form that we call standard form. So we have ax plus by equals c. And the only difference here is that we can't easily identify our slope or our rate of change. And our x and y values are on the same side of the equal sign rather than being on different sides of the equal sign. And this is called standard form. So we know how to graph lines in slope-intercept form, but we don't know how to graph lines in standard form. So we need to be able to convert standard form into slope-intercept form so that we can graph those lines and so we can easily see what our rate of change is. So let's try one. I have 2x plus 3y equals 6. So this is an equation in standard form. And my goal is going to be to get y by itself on one side of the equal sign. That's my goal, because that will make it look like y equals mx plus b. If I have y all by itself on one side of the equal sign, it'll look like my slope-intercept form. And that's my goal, because I know how to graph slope-intercept form. So my first step is going to be to subtract the x and the number that's in front of x. That is all together. We have to keep that number attached to the x when we subtract it over. So I'm going to subtract 2x, and I have to do this on both sides. Whatever we do on one side of the equal sign, we have to do on the other side of the equal sign. This keeps our equation equal. So I have a 2x minus 2x. That equals 0. I didn't do anything with this 3y, so that's going to stay exactly where it is. Then I have equals 6 minus 2x. And I don't have to write this 0 that's on the left side, but sometimes it's a nice placeholder whenever we're doing addition and subtraction. All right, so I did my first step. My second step is to divide by the number in front of y. So here I have my equation from where I left off in the first step, and I'm going to divide both sides by the number that's in front of y. And the reason I'm doing this is because if I divide any number by itself, 3 divided by 3, 4 divided by 4, 16 divided by 16, any number that I divide by itself is going to equal 1. So 3 divided by 3 equals 1, and I'm left with 1y, which I can also write as just a y. I don't need that 1 there. So by dividing both sides by 3, I end up with that y equals, which is what I want. I want y by itself. And I'm left with 6 minus 2x divided by 3. And I can split up that fraction and have 6/3, or 6 divided by 3, minus 2x divided by 3. And the reason I split up my fraction is because my last step is to simplify any fractions I have. So if I have 6 divided by 3, that's 2. So I have y equals 2 minus, I can't do 2 divided by 3, so I'm going to leave that as a fraction, 2/3 x. And now I'm done. If you wanted to, you could rewrite this so it looks closer to our slope-intercept form. If I rewrote it as y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2, and that's a negative. Just remember, if you are going to rewrite it, remember that the negative stays with our number. So a negative 2/3 and a negative 2/3. They're the same equation, but you can write it either way. So that would be my slope-intercept form of this standard form equation. So now that we've converted it, we can graph it. So here I have both my standard form and my slope-intercept form. They're the same. We just converted them. We know that they're the same graph. They're going to be the same line. So let's graph it. So I'm going to take my y-intercept, which is at positive 2, and I'm going to plot that point on my graph. And then I'm going to follow my slope. So I have a negative 2/3. That means I can go down 2 and to the right 3. So I'll go down 2 and to the right 3. There's my next point, and I can do that again. Down 2 to the right 3. And I can't go any further. I'll be off my graph. So I can go the opposite direction from my y-intercept. So I could go up 2 and to the left 3. And I can do that again. Up 2 to the left 3. And now I have enough points on my graph that I can draw my line connecting all of those points. And you want to make sure that we have our arrows on both sides of our line, since we know that it's going to continue on and on in both directions past where our graph ends. So there's our graph of our equation, which was in standard form as 2x plus 3y equals 6. All right, let's do another one. So if my standard form equation is 6x plus 3y equals 9, I want to convert that into slope-intercept form and then graph it. So my first step, let me rewrite my equation here. My first step, I'm going to subtract x and the number that's attached to x from both sides. So I'll subtract 6x. I have a 0, because 6x minus 6x equals 0. Then 3y, because nothing changed there. And that is equal to 9 minus 6x. So that was my first step, my subtraction. My second step, I'm going to divide by the number that's in front of y. So I'm dividing by a positive 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so I'm left with 1y, or just y if I didn't want to write the 1 there. And that is going to be equal to 9 divided by 3 minus 6 divided by 3 times x. And my last step is to simplify those fractions, or do the division if you can do it in your first step. And I'm left with y equals 9 divided by 3 is 3, minus 6 divided by 3, which is 2x. So I have y equals 3 minus 2x. And I could also write that as y equals minus 2x plus 3. Both are correct. You can do either one. My y looks kind of bad. I'm trying to fix it. That looks a little better. So now I have an equation in slope-intercept form, and I can graph it. So I'll start with my y-intercept, which is a positive 3. And then I'll follow my slope, which is a negative 2. So I'm going down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. I could also go in the other direction, which would be up 2 left 1. Do that again, up 2 left 1. And now I have a ton of points I can draw my line through. And I'm going to make sure that I have arrows on both sides of my line, since I know that it's going to continue on and on past the edge of my graph. And let me fix that line, because it's not quite going through all of my points. There we go, that looks a little better. So there would be my graph for 6x plus 3y equals 9, which in slope-intercept form was y equals negative 2x plus 3. And then I have an extra question here at the bottom. How would you describe the rate of change for this graph? When we were graphing it, I said that we were going down 2 to the right 1. So I could say x decreases by 2, because we were going down 2. Oh, sorry, that'd be y. Y decreases by 2, so we're going down 2, as x increases by 1, since we were going to the right 1. I could also say y increases by 2, because we went up 2 to the left 1. So that would be x decreasing by 1. So y decreases by 2 as x increases by 1. Or y increases by 2 as x decreases by 1. Both of those are ways that we could describe the rate of change for this graph. All right, let's do one more example. So I have 2x minus 4y equals 8, and I'm going to convert that into slope-intercept form so I can graph it. So I have 2x minus 4y equals 8. Go ahead and pause the video and try this on your own before I work through it. That way you can see if you have this concept down. So pause the video now and try to work through it. And when you unpause, you can watch me work through it and check your work. Great. Hopefully you tried this. So let's go through it. So I have 2x minus 4y equals 8. My first step, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. 2x minus 2x, that gives me 0. And I'm left with a negative 4y equals 8 minus 2x. So that was my first step. My second step, I'm dividing by the number in front of y. And this time we have a negative 4y. So I have to divide by negative 4. Negative 4 is a different number than positive 4. So you want to make sure you're keeping that negative with your number. So negative 4 divided by negative 4 is going to equal 1. So I'm left with 1y, which again, I can just write that as y. Don't need the 1 in front of it. And that is equal to 8 divided by negative 4 minus 2x divided by negative 4. I could also write that as plus negative 2x over negative 4, since subtraction is the same as adding a negative. And then my last step is to simplify those fractions, finish the division. So I'm left with y equals 8 divided by negative 4 is a negative 2, plus negative 2 divided by negative 4 is 1/2 x. So I have y equals negative 2 plus 1/2 x. And I could also write that as y equals 1/2 x minus 2, either way. And now I can graph it. So I'm starting with my y-intercept, negative 2. And then I'm following my slope, which is a 1/2, 1 over 2. So I can go up 1 to the right 2, up 1 to the right 2, up 1 to the right 2. And then I can also go in the opposite direction. So down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2. And now I have all of my points, and I can draw my line through those. And again, I want to make sure that I have arrows on both sides, because I know that this is going to continue past my graph. And there we go. There's our graph. And again, I asked the question, how would you describe the rate of change for this graph? Well, while I was drawing it, I said that I was going up 1, right 1. So I could say as y increases by 1, because we were going up 1, x increases by 2. I could also say as y decreases by 1, x decreases by 2, because we were going down 1 and left 2. So both of those are great ways that we can describe the rate of change for this graph. All right, that is all I've got for you. So I will see you in class tomorrow. Make sure that you took really good notes during this video. If you need to, go back and rewatch parts of it. You can pause and take better notes because you will be able to use your notes on the quiz over this video tomorrow at the beginning of class.